former American footballer O.J. Simpson has died at the age of 76. We can get more on this now with talkSPORT.com's US sports writer Brian Smith is in the studio with us. Hello, Brian Smith.
Good afternoon, Brian.
Thanks for having me on, guys. It's good to see you again.
Our pleasure. You well?
I'm very well.
Good.
Huge news in the U.S. world and really the entertainment, the sports world. And this just happened. We're just reacting to this. Actually, was just down with the talkSPORT staff. We have all this covered at talkSPORT.com, so you can read the stories covering the breaking news. But really a very, very big, depending on how you see it, good, bad, whatever, very, very big moment in kind of popular modern American history with the passing of O.J. Simpson.
Let me ask you about that, because I do feel, if I'm being brutally honest, I think it's important that we're all honest as broadcasters.
100%.
I do feel as though it's quite a difficult subject to approach, because I personally, this is just my view, I don't really have too much sympathy about this news, because he was obviously found not guilty of murdering two people in 1995. So some people, including myself, are going to be mixed on A, that verdict, and B, this news. How should we, not how should we, but how do you as a sports fan, how do you deal with the news that a legend in the sport, let's be fair, he was a legend in the sport, but what of course happened after that has somewhat tainted that. How do you think he should be remembered?
I'm going to give you my honest opinion. And I was on the escalator to leave, and then got the call to come up here. And when I was in the elevator to come back up here to this building, I was trying to put it all in perspective within 15 seconds. O.J. Simpson is an incredibly complicated, polarizing American figure. I wouldn't even say he's a sports figure anymore. So I'm going to give you the American perspective. And I remember I think I was 16 years old. It was 1994, and everyone remembers the white Bronco. And this has been turned into a reality TV series, documentaries, on and on. But at the core, there are probably two things. Number one, O.J. Simpson at one point in his life, in his career, was a great, not just a really good, he was a great NFL player. I mean, he was the best running back of all time at one point. 2000, I think, became the first person ever to rush for more than 2,000 yards. My point in saying all that is nobody talks about that anymore, and nobody's really talked about that since 1994. O.J. Simpson, for the last 30 years, has been incredibly polarizing. I would say, and I don't have a poll for what Americans want to think on this, but I just remember from 94 on, it always felt like there was a small portion of the population that maybe believed he was innocent or he had been wronged. And it always felt like, my perspective was that 99% of Americans, 98, whatever, always felt that O.J. Simpson, how should I say this? That O.J. Simpson got away with something. That was the general feeling in America, and he was never viewed the same. And so with the prison sentence, with everything that happened after that, there was also a civil trial. It was insanely complicated.
He lost the civil trial, right?
I believe so,
yeah.
Yes. And it was always insanely complicated, and he was never viewed the same. And there was not really any pity for O.J. Simpson. There wasn't any sympathy for O.J. Simpson. So I don't believe that we can refer to him anymore as the former NFL star, the football star. He was somebody who had the trial of the century, and that is what O.J. Simpson will be remembered for. For better or for worse, he will be remembered for the trial of the century.
The younger generation that are probably listening now won't know how popular he was. Can you explain to them how popular he was, even as an NFL star?
Yeah, so I mean, it was 30, 40 years ago. But he was at a time. Now, the NFL back then was not as big as it is now. The NFL is now, and we have fun with this, but
yes,
on par with the Premier League, if not bigger. The O.J. Simpson was a superstar in the NFL at the time. He was somebody who was really ahead of the curve in a lot of ways, right? So he was doing commercials. Like, you can go pull this on YouTube. He was in the Hertz TV commercial. He was a Naked Gun. He was a Hollywood star. He was well liked. He was famous. He was good looking. He bridged both worlds. He was ahead of the curve in a lot of ways, and being an NFL star, but also being a TV endorsement type of guy. And that all changed with everything that happened in '94. And to this day, this is the crazy thing about it. To this day, it never felt like the American public, whether it was Nicole Brown Simpson's family, whatever, that there was ever a true explanation of what really happened. I mean, there have been hundreds of books. I think there was like a 7 or 9 part TV series. Marcia Clark became a star. Johnny Cochran. You can roll off these names 30 years later in America, and we still don't really know what to make of O.J. Simpson.
No. Brian, listen, thank you so much for coming in. I mentioned earlier you're our US sports writer on talkSPORT.com.
Yep, and we have all this covered right now at talkSPORT.com and dealing with the stories right now on the desk.
Okay.
NFL's not bigger than Premier League.
Oh, that's a great question.
Let's do that again. Let's do that
Don't
again
start.
some
That's a
other
great
time.
question.
Can't say that.
Let's do that again. Oh, and it is, but let's do that again.
I think
On
what
a better note.
I
on a
think what
better
Gabby's
note.
alluding to, you can't say that in the studio. All right, you say it wherever you want, not when you sit opposite Gabby.
I appreciate it, guys.
Brian, listen,
Thank
do
you.
people call you Smudger in America? If you're a Smith, you're a Smudger. Have you heard of that?
I have not. I've heard a lot of things over that. That I'm not.
Oh, in England,
Yeah,
if
England.
you're a Smith, you are a Smudger.
Yeah.
I did not
You've
know
never
that.
heard the nickname Smudger?
I did not know that.
Smudge. Yeah.
Smudge, yes.
I've learned.
Honestly, I'm not winding
I've
up.
learned so many things in 10 months living over here.
Can we
I've
call you
not
that?
had that yet.
Can
No,
we-
no, no, you cannot.
Smudger.
No, you cannot.
Thanks,
Let's
Smudge.
debate that later.
Smudge, thanks for coming in. Have you never heard of that? That is incredibly common. If your surname is Smith, you are a Smudger.
I didn't. I'm learning something every day over
Yeah.
here.
Check Brian out, or Smudger as we call him, talksport.com.
Thank you, mate.
Thank
Thanks,
you for that.
guys. I appreciate it.